What's happening, guys? And welcome back to the channel. And it is just finished. Tottenham 0, Chelsea 3 in game 0 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And joining me to debrief the game is friend and Chelsea fan James. And James, before we get into it, don't want to use a football cliche, but it really was a game of two halves. In terms of the starting lineup, the main news from a Chelsea perspective, obviously, was Kepa in goal. Mendy still struggling from a bit of a knock he took in the game against Zenit. Otherwise, I think it was as expected. Havertz, Lukaku, and Mount seems to be the favoured front three at the moment. And with Kante just coming back from full fitness, I don't think we were going to see him from the off. Quickly on Kepa, how did you feel he did? Another clean sheet, not a lot to do, but there's a big game for him to come in for.
Yeah, I mean, I was at the Zenit game on Tuesday night, and I saw Mendy get injured, and he carried on, so I didn't expect him to necessarily be out of this game. So it was a bit of a shock when I saw Kepa in. But actually, yeah, as you said, he didn't have a lot to do, but he was pretty solid, I thought. I think to be honest, like him saving the penalty in the Super Cup, that sort of thing, I think Tuchel has given him a lot more confidence, and he looks a bit more like settled and a little bit less with less pressure on his shoulders. And I think he's I don't know, maybe he's become more acclimatized to England and the Premier League, and him not being in the spotlight anymore means less pressure on him. And yeah, I thought he did a really decent job. I mean, he's got a much better defense ahead of him. I think that, like, for example, he was decent during the Sarri season because we were a decent team and we didn't concede. The moment he went downhill was with Lampard, and when not only him but the whole defense was all over the place. And I think with a good defense in front of him, that really helps him and his confidence. And yeah, I mean, Mendy's definitely our number one and the better goalkeeper. He's just much taller and he's got better reach. But yeah, I thought Kepa did well.
Do you think with Kepa in goal, do you reckon that's why we saw Azpilicueta shunted out to right wing back with Tuchel bringing Thiago Silva back in as well, just to have the three most experienced defenders, or our three best defenders, in front of him? And perhaps if many of them playing, we may well have seen Reece James.
Yeah, I mean, I did think that as well. I didn't know because obviously Reece was suspended because he got sent off against Liverpool. I didn't know whether he was hesitant to sort of put him straight back in the team, or if Azpi, might be a little bit tired from playing on in the Champions League or whatever. But yeah, I think it was a really good decision, and I think, as you said, the experience really helped Kepa, and I think it was the right decision. And I think also last season in the big games, he played Azpi as the right wing back anyway. So it's not something we haven't seen before. He did that with Mendy and he did it with Kepa. So who knows really? But yeah, it obviously helped.
I mean, James, the first half was a real struggle. I thought Spurs kind of slightly caught us by surprise with that high press, a lot of energy in their play. They were getting in behind quite often. Were you surprised at how much we struggled in that first half and how Tottenham kind of put us up against it?
Yeah, I think Tottenham, with the fans back and stuff, and it being a London derby, I think they were, and having a new manager and stuff with Mourinho, they could be quite conservative. And obviously, like, they had Ndombele on the pitch, players that can make things happen, and they had Son back from injury. And I think they did really well in the first half, and they definitely were the better team. But if you look at the stats, they still only had one shot on target. And, I didn't see Kepa being tested. I thought we handled them pretty well. And defensively, we're so good, we're so solid. I never felt under threat in terms of our defense. They were obviously the more dominant team, but we still stayed firm. And it was more the attack where couple of chances, with Mason and Lukaku, it wasn't really gelling in terms of the passes and the chances. That's where we were falling short. I think, there were a couple of chances where we countered them and we could have easily gone 1-0 up. And so while they played maybe a bit better, I was never worried.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't create a lot, but as you mentioned, we're so solid at the back. You just don't feel like at the moment that we're going to concede any goals any time we step on the pitch. That one chance you obviously referred to, Mason Mount's ball, it was just a little bit poor. It was just too far behind Lukaku, and he couldn't really take the shot on how he wanted it, and obviously had to go for the return pass with the 1-2. But I mean, I say if we're being critical in that first half performance, I thought Lukaku was really isolated. Mount and Havertz really didn't do anything really to try and support him and get him those opportunities. So it was no surprises at half time to see Tuchel change things up, make a change. I mean, it could have been Mason Mount or Havertz, could have been either one of those two to come off. Obviously, going two up top, it's really going to leave Havertz on. He's a bit more of a physical presence up there with Lukaku than Mount is, but I don't think any of them could have had any complaints if they were hooked off. But James, just how much of a massive difference did that introduction of N'Golo Kante make at half time, going three in the middle of the park, and suddenly we look like a completely different team?
I was quite surprised, to be honest. I thought it was quite defensive, like Mount didn't have the best game, but taking him off for Conte, I thought, okay, maybe we're going a bit more defensive here. And, maybe he could have brought on someone like a Werner or a Ziyech or one of the other players. But it was obviously an inspired sub. I think, obviously, it meant that we could boss the midfield a bit more. It allowed Havertz to get closer to Lukaku, and then the wing backs were really the highest sort of attacking players in the wide positions, and we obviously stretched them more in that way. And Alonso, we know his attacking threat, and he was really good in that second half as well. He had a couple of chances where he could have scored, barring a last ditch sort of goal line save from Eric Dyer. And he had a really nice volley as well. But yeah, I think it was something that Tuchel did that we didn't necessarily see immediately what the sort of benefits of it were, but it was clear in that second half that we just completely dominated and the game changed. And Conte, whether it was psychological because everyone knows how good he is, or whether it was purely tactical because he opened up other areas of the pitch or whatever. But yeah, it was a really great substitution, and Tuchel has shown time and time again that he's an amazing sort of tactical manager, and we're sort of lucky to have him.
I mean, you touched on it just there. How important is it to have someone as switched on and as clued up as Tuchel on the sidelines, whose in-game management and his tactics is, I'd say, second to none at the moment in the Premier League, possibly even in world football? Just how much of an added bonus is that for Chelsea? Because I think in years gone by, we would have seen no changes at half time. Perhaps that game would have just carried on, etc. And we might have scraped a draw or whatnot. Just how much of a big plus is that for the club right now?
Oh, it's massive. I think, yeah, as you said, I think he's easily top three managers in world football at the moment. If not sort of joint top manager right now with Pep. I mean, like, he's just won the Champions League. He's had a great start to the season. If we remember how he won the Champions League, going from Lampard's team, which was shipping goals, all this kind of thing, the amount of clean sheets we've had, and we didn't even have a recognised striker for the last 6 months last season, or even basically the whole season, because Timo isn't really a striker. And now with Lukaku and stuff, you can see what kind of team he's trying to build and what kind of style of play it is. And obviously this back five system, we've had it before under Conte, and we're Chelsea are really solid under it, and we're really suited for it. And we have the players that gel really well in this system. But Tuchel, yeah, as you said, like he's so intense and he's so engaged with the game constantly. I feel that he's willing to make those changes. And we saw against Aston Villa where he took Saul Niguez off at half time, because even though it's his debut and maybe it would have dented his confidence, he wasn't feeling it, and he was thinking that we were vulnerable because of him being on the pitch, and he's prepared to make those decisions, which is really great to see. I'd rather a manager be proactive than reactive, which is what a lot of managers do in general, I think.
Yeah, no, 100% agree with you on that one, mate. Obviously, 2 goals right at the start of the second half in pretty quick succession. How good was Thiago Silva today? I mean, I think we just run out of words for him. The guy's 36 years of age now. Look, we know he's not going to play every week, but for the big games, he always seems to be there. And again, he was simply faultless today. I mean, just some words on his performance, mate.
Yeah, I mean, he was definitely man of the match. I think Gary Neville put him as man of the match, and he was just, world class. I mean, the fact that he's 36, like Ronaldo, but obviously opposite end of the pitch, he seems ageless. Like, obviously he doesn't have to do as much running around or whatever, but he reads the game so well. He had a couple of chances, not only his goal, but he had a couple of chances from corners. And yeah, he's just so calm in defence, and he has such experience. And I think while we're watching the game, we were saying, imagine if we had him, sort of 5-6 years earlier, or even in his late 20s, mid 20s, he would have been a sort of John Terry figure for us. And now, again, we're just really lucky to have him, and I hope he can play as much as possible this season, because I didn't think he would, because Christensen has been playing so well. But it's great to see him involved, and yeah, he was a huge asset for us today.
Yeah, I mean, and I think Bob, the whole back line was outstanding. They've been outstanding this season so far. We've only let one goal in, and that was from a penalty at Anfield. How important, James, is it that we obviously popped up with a goal at the end there? How important is it that we get Antonio Rudiger tied down to a new contract? Because he's at the moment, I think, he's one of the best defenders in the world on current form. He's a mainstay of this Chelsea side, but we still haven't got him tied down to a new deal. Is that vital that the club get that sorted?
Definitely. One, because we don't have any other left centre backs at the moment. I'm not sure who would fill in there, or who we've identified in the market. But as you said, he's one of the top defenders in world football right now. And you see with Thiago Silva, who's 36, these guys can have years left on, in the tank. And I think whatever sort of money he's asking for, whatever, demands, as long as it's not completely unrealistic, we should, definitely just say yes and get him down, because he'll look at someone like David Alaba or whatever that went to Madrid on a free agent and is now earning 300k a week or something ridiculous. And he'll probably think, maybe I could do that. But if, he likes living in London, he obviously likes the club, he likes being settled. If we can sort of tie him down with something that is attractive to him, then yeah, he's a key asset to us. Because in a back five, he seems to be a mainstay every week, because one, we've got no one else, but two, he's a world-class defender, and I think he would get into most teams of the world right now.
Yeah, and to be honest, from his perspective as well, I don't think there's many better places to be playing your football right now in the world than at Chelsea. I think it's a really exciting project. The club's going places, winning the biggest trophies, and we're well set this season to have a real push for the Premier League. But just one last thing, Joe, before we wrap up. Do you think this 3-5-2 system, a slight tweak with an extra man in the centre of the park, do you think that's something that we could see Thomas Tuchel roll out a little bit more often going forward, particularly in perhaps big away games or in games we're kind of getting overrun in the middle of the park?
I don't know about if he would do it from the off, because we have been successful with this system as is in the past in big games. We beat City a couple of times at the end of last season. We played really well against Liverpool before the sending off, that kind of thing. So I think he'll tweak it as we sort of need, and if the situation kind of needs, a tactical change or something, or a sub or whatever. But from the off, I think there's nothing. Why fix something that isn't broken at the moment? Like, with this system has suited us well in the past and in recent games. And today he made a substitution and a tweak which worked really well. But there's no reason to then continue with that just because it worked in one half of a game. I think he's just got to be solid in the knowledge that we played really well in this system, and to keep going with that.
Yeah, I think it's very much going to be game specific, and it will be kind of circumstantial on what's going on at that point in time in any particular game. But yeah, guys, I said it finished Tottenham 0, Chelsea 2 at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and a bit of club history for Chelsea this evening, becoming, for the first time in their league history, winning 6 consecutive London derbies away from home. We go back to joint top of the table, 4 wins and a draw from the opening 5 games, 1 goal conceded, and we move on to Aston Villa at home in the League Cup in midweek. So that's just myself and James's thoughts. Leave your thoughts in the comments below, guys. Smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and we'll catch you in the next one.